Relinda, do I have your permission to record?
Yes, you do.
Okay, good, good. Yes, there is for some reason there seems to be a delay here, and so maybe there's an issue between your internet or mine, one of us. But I think that it'll just be a little odd probably when you watch the playback, but I think we'll be able to get through it. So let's go over the logistics. You'll have around 15 minutes in the simulator to run the scenario. At the end, I will return to guide you in a reflection of your experience. Now, if at any point you feel overwhelmed or just need to pause for any reason, just say pause simulation and I'll return to address any questions or concerns that you may have. And also, if there are any technical issues, just ask for me, Michael, and I'll be back to address it. Now, for this particular scenario, you can do this in a low or medium intensity. Which would you prefer?
I'll do a medium intensity.
Okay, got it. Alrighty. Okay, so in a moment you will see Mitchell appear on the screen, and as soon as you see him, your scenario will begin. Now keep in mind this is training, so it's going to be a great opportunity for you to take a risk and stretch yourself. And in just a moment you will see Mitchell.
Hello there, Mr. Mitchell. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me so we can discuss your wonderful son, Will. How is he
Oh,
doing at
good.
home?
He's doing just fine. He's doing just fine. I'm kind of I'm just kind of checking my phone here. I'm just I've got a lot going on and I have to get back to work by a certain time. But obviously I want to see how my son's doing. So yeah, you
Okay,
can
well
go
then
ahead.
I'll get to the point so that way you
Okay,
can
sounds good.
get back. So I wanted to go over Will's scores with you.
Okay,
At the beginning of the year, we do some reading and math assessment. And um, so far on the reading and math, Will is in need of some improvement in quite a few different areas. So what I wanted to do,
really?
wanted to go over the scores, and then I wanted to kind of set up a game plan. So
Okay,
first,
all
I'll start
right.
with the reading. Uh,
Yeah.
with his
Um,
goal, so if at any moment if I'm going too fast, you need me to slow down, you
yeah.
just let me know and I'll stop.
I will. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I have to say, I mean, just the fact that he is not doing well in reading and math, that's surprising and very concerning. I mean, he was doing just fine at the other school, and so now we come here and all of a sudden he's struggling. That causes me to raise an eyebrow.
Let me clarify. He's not struggling in the sense where he's doing bad. Like he's not doing bad. There are just some areas that need some improvement. Just because like we have a standard at the end of the year, and he's
Hmm.
almost there. Like all he needs is just a little more practice. And so, like for instance, with the reading, our standard usually at the bit or usually is to have them up to 100 words per minute, and he
Hmm.
was just at 90 with only 5 errors. Like he's almost there. He's just
Okay.
needing just a little bit more practice. And even like with the core testing, when we're going over like not only your reading, but like how much are you comprehending, he's just coming up just a little short. Like it's not bad. Like I said, it's this isn't like a final like oh he's bad at reading type of meeting. No, this is just some things we need to improve on. So for the reading, what I would like to do is pretty much I want him to completely utilize our library. Like the best way to get better at reading is to just read. And so I would like to like maybe every single day, like when he gets home from school, setting aside just at least 30 minutes a day where he's just practicing reading. And then once he finishes whatever book that he has checked out to accomplish that 30 minutes reading, we use star testing at the school, and like we even have a bonus point system where if you get so many points after getting so many right, they get rewarded and things like that. And so if you will just make sure that after school for 30 minutes he's reading, and we'll just kind of it's almost like a drill. He'll just keep reading until he gets more up to par, and then even the practice tests are going to help him with that
All
comprehension
right.
part. Does that sound doable to you?
I mean, well, here's the deal. I mean, I work a lot, so Will, I mean, I unfortunately have to rely on him to kind of work independently. Okay, I mean, are there some tutoring, or, are there some reading drills he can do, while he's here at school? Hey, that
Yeah, well,
he's
we
here at school for a reason, so I'd really like to him to take advantage of the time that he's here.
Yeah. Well, we read during class, but the thing is, because he's like his reading level isn't quite up to par where everyone else is, a lot of times he gets left behind. And I don't want him to feel left out or to get further behind. Like, it's really best to kind of like nip this in the butt individually. And we do have tutoring. So if you wanted him to go to tutoring for like 30 minutes after school on certain days, then like what we could do is during those 30 minutes, he could do that reading during then. And like he would take those tests in my classroom. Like I would give him time for that. It was just that 30-minute reading he would need to do kind of outside of the classroom. Because then not only is he practicing reading in my classroom, but he's practicing it outside. So he's building those skills. And it's just, practice makes perfect. It's just going to better him in the long run. So could he do tutoring after school for 30 minutes?
Well, sure. I mean, actually, that would be preferable since I work so much. I mean, that would help me out more for him to do that here. So yeah, I'll make sure he does that.
Okay, and so then this next one, you'll actually like this one because this will be more of his. It'll be independent work. It's not going to feel like work. It's going to feel like a game. Because right now we're into the mathematics, and like I said, his mathematics is pretty. It needs some improvement. Like with the multiplication, the single digit, he's almost got it down packed. We usually in 1 minute he got 19, and typically the like standard is 20, so he's literally almost there. Like it's just, I mean, could have been a matter of like maybe something caught his attention while he was figuring something out. Like he's up to par pretty much with single digit,
So he's
but when
good
it
on
got to
those.
double
Okay.
digit, it got just a little hard.
Okay. What
But with
what
the
does that
double
mean? A
digit,
little hard.
it's just so like the standard again, 20 per minute, and he
Okay.
got to 12. But 12 out of 20 isn't bad, it's better than half, and so it's just again that matter
Yeah,
of it's double, so that's quick.
yeah,
And they're right.
that's not good. That's not good. I mean, he was certainly at higher levels at his other school, and I mean this is the thing that's kind of bothering me here, you know. And he's not doing as well. So, and it makes me wonder, I mean, right now you have these ideas for how he can get better. I mean, why are you why are we just now talking about this? I mean, what are you doing in the class to make sure he gets to where he needs to be?
I understand your concern. That's kind of why we're having this meeting because I can't like I'm telling you, like we tackle these issues because your son is a very bright boy. Like that's the thing with these problems, even though it's not about that he's getting them wrong, it's just not it's he doesn't have the speed. And the thing again with that, practice makes perfect is, it's kind of like with a runner. When a runner first starts running, they're not going to be very fast, but the more they run and the more experience they get, the faster they get and it's just effortless. And so all it is just needing more practice. And so we practice these in the classroom, but
So,
um,
so
it's
I,
that speed.
yeah, I just got a question. So you said he's not getting him wrong. It's the speed. So this was a time test, and he didn't get to answer those. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it was what it yes, yes, because they get a minute to answer as many questions as they
Oh,
can. And in
okay.
a minute, he can answer, like I said, with the single digit, he was almost there. It was right at that 20. He was just,
Hmm.
it was just one. He needed a little more time. But with these other ones, it's taking him a little longer. And then, especially with the division, it takes him a considerable amount of time. So it's not that he doesn't have the skill. He knows how to do these. He's got the skills. He doesn't have that speed down yet,
Hmm.
and that might even help him with his word count when he's reading because if he's quickly able to answer these math questions, it goes back to he'll be able to quickly read those words and comprehend those meanings because it's all a matter of just kind of getting your brain going
Okay,
around.
okay, I hear you. So let me ask you. I mean, since it's all about speed here, I mean, are you, when you're teaching these lessons, are you incorporating speed, as you're training them? Are they doing their assignments, within a certain time so they can get used to these quizzes that are timed?
Yes, and we have what I would call math drills, and then even in class we have reading drills. Because the thing with speed is And I know I keep emphasizing speed, and I promise it's not all about speed because we want them, it goes back with that reading. Like, yes, we want them to read fast, but we also want them to understand what they're reading. And then with this math stuff, yes, we want them to be able to answer more questions in a short amount of time, but we want them to like not just answer them, but answer them correctly. Know how to do it. And so like yes, in class we are doing this. Like we have tests, and so our tests are timed. And even like with our reading quizzes, we've got reading quizzes and they're timed. And so like they're timed. It's just a matter of practicing these not only in the classroom but outside. And like I said, for the math, I have a kind of a resource where you're able to definitely be hands off. He's able to do it independently and still get that practice. There's a website, it's free, no cost. It's called multiplication.com. And they actually have games that are tailored to like multiplication problems and division problems. Like in this, they're practicing multiplication and they're practicing division, but it's in the format of a video game. So like in his mind, he's like, oh, I'm just having fun, but he's actually learning how to better do those problems, and in the end how to do it quicker. And like I said, we'll have drills in class. It's just this work outside of the class is strengthening the things that we are learning in the class. So does that seem doable to you if I give you that website and he does that like outside of class? Like I said, it's video game basically, and it's just independent work for him.
I mean, certainly, I'll give him, the website and I'll have him, run through those so he can make sure that he's, on track. I just don't want him to have an exceptional amount of additional work that he has to do at home. I mean, he's at school all day. I really feel like he should be able to get, the instruction he needs, and be able to do his homework and be on track.
Oh yes, I completely understand your concern. Like I said, Will is a very bright boy. Like this isn't like a meeting where I'm like, oh, I'm worried about him because I'm not. Your son's a very bright boy. It's just a matter of getting that little extra practice in. And like I said, we can do the reading, the 30 minutes in tutoring after school. And then, like with these math problems, like this math game that I've got or that I found online, that's something that, like I said, he can do in his free time. I don't know if Will is a video gamer, but taking some of that time that he
Yeah.
typically spends on video games, putting it to this particular video game where it strengthens those math skills. So that way it's not too much
Okay.
extra. I try not to have homework outside of class because I know like when you're at home, you want to be enjoy it being
Right.
at home. And I know you're a
Right.
hard worker. When he's home, you want to enjoy it with him.
Exactly. Exactly. You're right. Because I mean, I work long hours, and I would like the time that we spend together to be, more enjoyable versus, doing school activities or work. But regarding this math game, how long? So the reading, that's 30 minutes a day after school. How much time do you think he needs to be spending on this math game?
I would say I would say probably about 30 minutes. Same time he would reading. So, because how much time do you think he spends a day playing video games?
Oh gosh. Well, he loves video games. I mean, he can play video games for hours. So,
Mhm. Just 30
yeah.
minutes of those hours could be spent to that. Like it doesn't have to be an excessive amount. And if he enjoys it, he could even do it longer than 30 minutes, but just kind of at least giving him 30 minutes so he's got some time with it. And if you wanted to make it like some father and son time, you could even have like a competition out of it. You both could be playing the game. And if I don't know if he's a competitive person. I know I am, and I would always, me and my dad would always like have fun just challenge each other to how many multiplication problems we could do. And it's just kind of that way of yes, he's doing work, but it's that like, oh, actually though, you're having fun doing it. He's going to be more inclined to do it. He's going to enjoy it more, and he's going to retain more of it.
Uh, actually, that's probably not a bad idea to do it with him. So that's I'll probably take you up on that. So if he does this extra, this extra tutoring, this extra reading tutoring, and this extra this game to assist him with his math, about how long do you think it'll take for we actually start to see some improvement?
it honestly just depends on how receptive he is. Like I said, the more he's enjoying the process, the quicker we'll see results. But it's proven. I mean, like just reading 30 minutes a day, like you get drastic improvements. You'll see it in the classroom, and you'll see it even when you're like if you're especially if you're actively engaging them every day about it.
Mhm.
You can see we can see improvements probably in the next month because we have what I we have let me pull it up right here. We have periods where we measure where they're at. So like our next one is in November. You know, we took these in September, so our next score is going to be in November, and then we have another period in January, in March, and then we have one at the end of the year. And so like we're going to have several testing periods, and so I'll be able to meet with you our next period where I can discuss some progress. Like I've got no doubt we'll see some progress
Okay.
this next scoring period.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean that sounds good. I am hopeful, and I'm gonna, trust your word on that, and expect to see some improvement. And of course, I'll do my part and make sure that Will is doing that extra tutoring and spending that extra time on the math games.
Now that we've discussed the education part of it, I did want to check in. I know y'all just moved here. I've seen Will in the classroom, and he seems to be assimilating well in the classroom. He's answering questions. He's engaging with his peers. But I wanted to ask you because you're going to have a better view of how he's doing socially, just because he'll talk about his friends at home, or he
Yeah.
may have sleepovers. So I wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel he's doing? Is there any problems you want to bring up?
Well, I mean, he did tell me that, there was a guy in his classroom that was, making fun of him. I don't know, maybe it happened once or twice. I don't know if this is, something that's going to be ongoing, but I do feel like, I certainly want to make sure my son is safe in the classroom. I don't want him to be bullied. Obviously, you all should really be making sure that that kind of thing isn't happening in the class. I mean, have you noticed that?
I really haven't noticed too much, but like I said, he seems to be socially like assimilating. But sometimes there could be whispers, and then there might be something happens outside of the classroom between classes. But whenever it is, I will. What I'll do is I'll reach out to Will, and I'll kind of ask him about it, try and figure out like who it is, when it happened, see like kind of what the severity of it is. If this is just a like somebody's making a comment, but he's being kind of rude, or if he's like intentionally, like I'm talking, singling him out and making his life
Right,
harder
right,
as it is, then we'll find out who it is. Because I've talked with my kids at the beginning of the year, and I go into depth on my no bullying policy, and I mean I take this very very seriously, and we really appreciate you bringing your child here. That means a lot to us, and I know it's hard to trust people when you can't see them, and we're just not. We've had that meeting before, but we're still kind of all trying to get to know each other. But I want you to know, like, your son's safety is my top priority. Is
good,
not just well-being
good.
as far as education goes, but is social and emotional. And so I'll look into it, find out who it is, and if it's something that's extreme, I'll talk to that kid's parents. We'll talk back with you, and we will schedule some kind of um, reconciliation type of thing where the student apologizes to your son, like whatever situation it is, we will take care of it to the fullest extent.
Okay. Well, I mean, I appreciate that. Again, I'm not really sure of the specifics. He didn't really want to go into it very much, but I thought I should bring it up because it is something that I want you to look out for. So I mean, I appreciate, all the action that you're gonna take to make sure you see what's going on, and following up with the kids' parents and all that. So thank you. And also, yeah, just please, let me know, what you find out. 'Cause obviously I wanna, I wanna stay on track of what's going on there.
And Will is a very, very sweet boy. So it breaks
Yeah.
my heart to hear somebody's even made one
Yeah,
comment
of
about it.
course.
And so we'll
Yeah.
figure out what it is. We'll
All
get to
right. Well,
the bottom of it. And even if Will doesn't feel comfortable enough to tell me a name, then what I'll do is we'll have another unit in my class as a whole where we discuss we discussed bullying. Like I'll bring it back up. I won't single anyone out. I won't call any
Okay.
names. It'll just one way or another, it's going to be addressed in our classroom.
Okay. All right. Thanks again. I appreciate it. And let's see. I'm sure I gotta. Yep. Yeah. I gotta head out now. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again for explaining everything and coming up with some solutions for his academics and as well as this bullying issue or potential bullying issue that's going on. So, all right, well, I gotta head out. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for your time. You have a good day.
All right, so tell me, Relinda, how are you feeling after this conversation?
I'm, I'm feeling really good. If I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning I was a little anxious because I'm not a big fan of confrontation. It doesn't, and I know this wasn't confrontation, but just that one-on-one, like it could potentially be confrontation stresses me out.
Right.
But I feel like I did a lot better than I thought I would.
Okay, well, good, good. I'm glad you were able to see that you did well even in this situation where I mean, there certainly was a bit of confrontation because Mitchell he didn't like what he was hearing. So I'm glad you were happy with the way you navigated the conversation. So a couple questions for you. First, in relation to the outcome that you wanted to achieve, what strategies or best practices do you feel worked well?
I definitely felt like and this is gonna sound, I don't mean it to sound as bad as what it does, but instead of just coming in hot with the, okay, your student needs to do, or your child needs to do this,
Hmm.
your child is terrible at this, coming in with the like assurance that like, listen, your child is fine, they're good, there's
Hmm.
just some room for improvement. It's not a they're
Right,
doing bad or they've done bad. It's just there's some areas where we need to grow, and
right,
like I
right.
work well.
I completely agree. Why alarm a parent if you don't need to? Letting them know that hey, there's room to grow is certainly something that's easier to receive than oh, your child's doing poorly and it needs a lot of work. Anything else you want to add about what you feel worked well?
I definitely feel he kept making comments about how well, this wasn't a problem at my child's older school, and I
Right.
didn't really. I mean, and I probably could have directly addressed it in a way where it wouldn't have been confrontational, but because he was very defensive about that, I instead of commenting on the school, like the other school, like how they do things versus how we do things, I felt kind of like not even addressing how it was at the other school and just making it more about like, well, right now, it's not that he's doing bad. He's getting these correct. It's just about speed. And then I feel like I emphasized speed so much in order to let him know that his son wasn't like wrong, that
Hmm.
then he's like, oh, so this is all about speed. And then I kind of had to
Right,
agree to,
right.
no, it's not speed. But I definitely felt like avoiding directing any kind of a potential, well, that school may do things this way, but we do it this way,
Right,
saved my
right.
butt a little in the end. Already defensive, anyways.
Right, right, and I think you're right about that. I thought that was great that you didn't necessarily get into that. Plus, I mean, you're not aware of how they do things at that school anyway, and so it wouldn't really work to try and make any comparisons there. So to just focus on how Will is doing and what improvements can be made that's really going to be effective and really helping to move forward the conversation and to make the suggestions for solutions that you have. So, I also wanted to add that, I thought it was great, especially towards the end where you asked, asked about anything else. Is there anything else going on with your students? How, are you have any concerns about what's going on with him, socially? And then Will's father explained, some of what was going on in terms of some potential bullying, and you fully let him know that hey, I understand, and I want you to know that I am going to do everything I can to tackle this issue to make sure that he's not getting bullied. You let him know that hey, I care about Will, and I certainly don't want to see this happen. I definitely think that you put Mitchell in a place where he trusts you to really do the best to take care of his son. And so I thought that that was really effective how you handled that portion of the conversation. So I want to ask you
Thank you.
also, in looking back, if you had to do any of this conversation over again, if you could make any changes, is there anything that you think you could improve upon?
My research, I would like I said, I looked at his scores before, and I went through. I wanted to make sure I understood what they were saying, and then I even looked into some extra resources that maybe like they could use if we were going to implement this like after school practice type of thing. But I didn't necessarily have a written record of it, and so like by the time I got in there, I done forgot like what that one website was called, and then he caught me off guard with the question of it's related to the reading. It was something, or it was the improvement. He said, "When should we see improvement?" And I
Right.
definitely had an answer for that. And it just kind of caught me off guard because it's like the one area I didn't look for, and so I definitely like if I did it all over again, like the extent of my research was great, but I still would have made sure I wrote it down so I had my notes prepared for him, and then I next time would have made sure to like okay like obviously they're going to be concerned with like how long do they have to do this because I
Hmm.
was kind of just pulling guesstimates out and it's not exactly like safe when we're talking about another kid's education. And
Right.
so, and then especially with his time, he's a very busy parent. So next time, like I need to think about that aspect of it too. I'm getting with
Okay.
specifics.
Got it. Good. So just having, that more thorough research, making sure that you have, all of the data that you might need, and, and probably it sounds like anticipating questions that might also come up regarding, some of those solutions that you're recommending. Alrighty. Well, Relinda, why don't you tell me what is one thing that you'll take away from this experience today?
Definitely, when it comes to conversations with parents, we're trying to make friends and not enemies, and not so much friends but allies. Because like I said, he's very busy, and it's when he kept making comments like, "Okay, well, what are you doing in the classroom?" or "Why does he have to do all this extra work outside of the classroom?" Like
Hmm.
as a teacher, I'm like, we can only do so much in the classroom. Like you
Right,
have to do
right,
some work outside. But keeping in mind that yes, that might be how I feel, and that should be how he feels because he doesn't. Instead of fighting with him about it, figuring out how to like meet somewhere in the middle and like still making
right.
him feel like because his feelings are validated.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely. I think that that's such a wonderful point. Because, obviously you're likely to run into some parents like that. So just as you said, finding a way to just meet in the middle so that you all can make some progress together. I think that that's a great takeaway. All right. Well, Relinda, I want to thank you so much for your participation in this conversation today and for sharing your thoughts as well. I want to remind you that this video will be available on the Mursion portal where you originally scheduled your session. Give it about 24 to 48 hours and then you'll see it show up there. But that's all we have for today. So thank you so much and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.
thank you too.
Okay.